Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to everyone watching on this YouTube channel. You're welcome back. Today, we'll be looking at a very interesting topic. It is something we do every day. So, as individuals, we make agreements with different people on different goods and services. Sometimes we might also outsource our product outside the country, and even sometimes we order products online. So based on the agreement, based on our affordability, based on the prices. So today we'll be looking at something very unique in construction. That's talking about contracts in the construction. So contract is an agreement between two or more parties where there is a legal right and obligations. So we have two parties coming together in executing any form of services or any form of goods. So it's like a legal binding agreement between parties. And I want us to know that not all agreement is a contract, but all contracts are agreements. Let me give example. See, I organized a party and I invite my friends to come to the party. One of my friends might not respond. Maybe 1 hour to the party might tell me that he will not be able to come. So although he had agreed to come to the party, but due to one circumstances or one issue or the other, he was not able to come. So that you cannot lay allegations to that person, you cannot arrest. So it's just a social arrangement and it is not legal or binding. So that is that. We'll be looking at also some elements of contract. We have six key elements that makes a contract. Number one, there must be an offer. There must be acceptance. There must be consideration. There must be genuine intent and consent between parties. Parties must have capacity to deliver, and also there must be legality. The first one, which is offer, there must be someone offering at a price. For example, if a client wants to construct a building, $3 million, that is an offer. Building is 3 bedroom duplex or something like that. That is an offer. So he invites contractors, they do the bidding and so on, and he selects the person who is suitable for the contract. And the contractor is now expected to accept the offer. Sometimes they give the window of maybe 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks to accept the contract. And it also happens in different organizations. So, for example, the employer might employ someone and give the person and give an offer letter. So it is now the responsibility of the person to look at the contract, to look at the payment, how much will be paid every month, and accept. So consideration means there must be a value attached to the contract. So, for example, you want to buy something at the shopping market, there is a value attached to it. The price has been placed on the shelf. So that's the offer price. And if you accept to buy it, you take the goods. So there must be a consideration. And both parties must have genuine intention to do the contract, the capacity. They must have the technical capacity, financial capacity to execute the contract. And there must be binding agreement between both parties. So what is contractual arrangement? It refers to a specific legal and commercial agreement governing the relationship between parties. So there's a contractual arrangement that needs to be signed between parties. It shows how payment will be done to the contractor, when the payment will be done, maybe monthly or quarterly or weekly. The contractual arrangement states the payment method. It also states the risk allocation. So it talks about who is taking the operational risk, the financial risk, the design risk, and so many other risks between the client and also the contractor. And it also states the responsibilities of the parties, and if there is any issues, any disputes, how do we want to resolve those disputes? So we have different kind of disputes resolution mechanism, like arbitration. We have mediation. We have negotiation. We have litigation. We have different forms of dispute resolution. This must be stated in the contractual arrangement. And also, we have the long-term project agreement, which involves the design, construction, financing, operation, maintenance obligation. So this must be stated in the contractual arrangement, often with performance-based payment mechanisms. Moving on to the next slide, we have the types of contractual arrangement. The lump sum contract, the cost plus contract, guarantee maximum contract, price contract, schedule of rates. We also have the target cost contract, the incentive-based contract, and also the last one, which is the time and the material contract. We'll be looking at this one by one. But this, we will just look at a few of these in this first part of this video. And in the next 2 weeks, we'll be looking at the second part of the contractual arrangement. So let's talk about the lump sum contract. The lump sum contract is where you select a contractor to complete a work at a fixed price. And most times this contract is called the fixed price contract. Lump sum means you have the scope of the project is well defined. And in that process, you've invited the contractors to bid for the project. And usually in this lump sum contract, the lowest tender is being selected. After the lowest tender has been selected, the agreed price doesn't change except there is changes in the design. So it is quite straightforward. And in this kind of contract, the most risk is on the contractor, because if there is any issues in the construction which can lead to a cost overrun, it is the responsibility of the contractor. So the client doesn't have any business adding any amount to the fixed price. So what are the key features here? Here, there is a bill of quantities. There's architectural drawings that is being given out that gives a detailed information about the project. Well-detailed designs is provided. Contractors submitting the lowest tender is being awarded, as I've said earlier on. And both quantities, unit rate in the bill forms the part of the contract. The quantities and the unit rate forms the part of the contract. And if there is any form of variation, the unit rate in the contract serve as a basis for valuation of the variation. And this kind of contract is suitable for well-defined projects. If the project is not well-defined, a lump sum contract cannot be used because you don't have overview of how much will be spent on the contract. This mostly is used in residential apartments or residential projects. Let's move to the next type of contract. This kind of contract, which is the cost plus contract, is also called the prime cost, where the method of payment is based on the total cost of materials, plant, and labor, plus a management fee. So, in this kind of contract, it is based on the materials that is being purchased, the plant that is being used on site, the laborers that is being used every day on site. So based on that, that is what you will use to pay the contractor. So this can be done every day or every week payment plus a management fee. So for example, let's say at the end of the contract, 50,000 was expended on the contract and there is a management fee of 10%. So that would be 10% of contract, which will give us 5,000, which will be management fee. Let's move to the key features here. In this kind of contract, work can commence early stage of the design. So in this kind of contract, you are not focused on completing the design. You can start the project as you continue the design. So because payment is being done based on the materials that is being used on site, plant that is being used on site, and labor being used on site. And also we have the cost is less important factor than time. Cost is less important to the client than time. So the client is interested to finish the contract as fast as possible. So for example, the client wants to build a residential apartment or a place where students will be able to get accommodation and they have just few months to execute the project. The client might be so rich, but is targeting that the contract or the project is executed within maybe 6 months. So cost is not a priority for the client, but time is a major priority. So yeah, that's where you start the project as fast as possible and you continue reviewing the design of other phases of the project. So here you can use a cost plus contract for that kind of project. It involves investigation of invoices, so timesheets, which can be time consuming. So this kind of contract, you need to verify invoices, timesheets for the laborers, and to check before you even pay your workers. And also the last point says it is suitable for unclear scope. So if it's a project that is still evolving or there is no clear direction of where the project is going, you can use a cost plus contract. In the next video, we'll be looking at the variants of cost plus contract. I'll see you